Alright, so I'm teaching y'all on thoracic outlet syndrome today because I suck and I missed class twice. So, a brief anatomy: the brachial plexus and subclavian artery run under the clavicle, posterior to the sternum and the first rib, and then down the arm. Three spaces make up the brachial plexus like triangle. The interscalene triangle, which is its own like separate little triangle. The costoclavicular space, which you should know where that is, and the retropectoralis minor space. So it's where the pec minor attaches to the coracoid process. The thoracic outlet is the area described as I just did. And tacking syndrome onto the end refers to the neurovascular disorder that occurs when the brachial plexus and subclavian artery are compressed. Pathophysiology can acutely be caused by repeated neck trauma, causing irritation to the scalenes, your sternocleidomastoid, and brachial plexus. That leading to a compression on the subclavian artery because they're annoyed and irritated and inflamed and all that. Hypertrophy of the anterior scalenes will cause compression on the brachial plexus, and then, like, more acutely, fractures of the clavicle and, like, especially a posterior displacement can press into the brachial plexus and subclavian artery. And then finally, like, chronic overuse of the shoulder can actually stretch the brachial plexus. Secondary conditions, like I said, clavicle fractures, they can displace posteriorly and press onto the brachial plexus, sometimes sever an artery. That's when you're in real trouble. There's the Schroeder syndrome is the upper extremity deep vein thrombosis occurring in the axillary and the subclavian veins, which run through the brachial plexus. So you're looking at like a regular DVT, but it's through these in particular, so it's under like thoracic outlet syndrome. Rehabilitation concerns: loss of pulse and blood flow to the upper extremity, so you're monitoring that constantly. Loss of sensation and motor function due to the brachial plexus being inflamed and compressed. So you're watching them while they're going through all their exercises to make sure they still have like grip and a pulse, especially their radial pulse. And then overactivation of overhead muscles causing tightness and tension can just increase all your signs and symptoms. So it's more looking at getting the tension down than strengthening anything at the moment, especially if hypertrophy is the reason that the TOS is occurring. Progression through rehab: avoid actions that provoke the pain and paresthesia, numbness and tingling down the arms. NSAIDs for pain control and muscle relaxants if necessary, especially, like I said, if there's tension on the scalenes, the SCM, or upper traps that's causing the compression on the brachial plexus and the subclavian arteries and veins. Posture corrections are like the big thing because a lot of the time that TOS occurs, tight pecs, slumped forward shoulders, easy enough fix. Pull your shoulders back, pinch your scaps, like stand up straight. Core and back strengthening, again, helping with posture, and taking some weight off of the traps when you're working out or anything like that, helping substitute where that hypertrophy might be coming from in the scalenes. If they have weak shoulders and they're tight in the front but you're weak in the back, shoulder strengthening is obviously got to be thrown in there. And then if they're tight everywhere and that's what's causing TOS, then relaxation techniques in addition to like stretching and heat in like getting them through their full ranges of motion and making sure they're not as tight as they were. End all be all, like first thing you should do, E-stim for pain and muscle relaxation with heat. So, you know, just getting the E-stim on the shoulder, activating the muscles, like, and then you have the heat to help everything relax. And that is thoracic outlet syndrome in a brief overview. of shoulder pathologies.